We're back again. Oh my god, my voice. We're back again today for episode number 2. Hello and welcome everyone to Formula 1, my team, where we have something going on with our personnel that needs to be somewhat sorted out here. So let's go see what's happening. Guan Yu wants to go to the gym, but we're just going to allow him to go to the gym, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, filling out our team events here, trying to do the things that will amplify the team the most or help it the most. Obviously, until we upgrade our marketplace or whatever that was, the facility that was in, we're going to have negative effects on things. So, yeah, just trying to... We were actually able to fill in everything there, so we're going to do that. There's our marketing. Can't upgrade it quite yet. We're not going to focus on that probably till later, however, simply because we have all the other departments and we can't really get behind in our development anywhere else, and we might need to upgrade those other facilities soon. So, yeah, we're looking now for a new sponsor. We're going to look for the one with the biggest weekly income here to get the most money humanly possible. And completing a race weekend with no DNFs in the team, it could be a little bit difficult. So we're not going to do that because early on this car not going to be very well. Interview questions, we will go with that. Zainetto. Okay. Anyways, now we're looking out for prospects. Obviously, we're going to look out for Ayrton, because why not? Ayrton Senna. He's probably my favorite classic driver. Nico Rosberg, as well, one of my favorites. But of course, first and foremost, George Russell. Yours truly. He's my favorite driver, if you don't know. He's my favorite racing driver ever, essentially. So, seeing what upgrades we have here with the facilities, we're going to do quality control for the powertrain to try to reduce the failure chance. However, chassis and durability both failing us big time right there. So we're going to have to redo those upgrades, which we will do right here. The gearbox, and I think that was the flooring on the floor of the car. That failed. We have a powertrain issue going on here involving Joe Guan Yu's meeting, apparently.
Thanks for dealing with that.
We're going to agree to skip the meeting, I believe that was, and work with the powertrain. Chassis, can't do anything there. I don't think we could do anything anywhere else. Closing in on the race in Imola for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Finally, after a year and a half, I could say Romagna correctly. It's not even that hard. Anyways, making an aero upgrade right there. And you can see some of the other things, some of the upgrades coming through. Everything passed by the looks of it. And heading into Imola, we're in a pretty good spot, to say the least, as we now look at what else we might be able to do. However, we only have 500 R&D points, so I don't think we'd be able to do anything at this point in time. So, seeing where we are apparently just behind Aston Martin and Alpine, which is not half bad for this team. I mean, we're already in the midfield, and this is only our second ever race. P11 at Bahrain for us. We'll see what we could do here today in Imola as we get ready now to head down to the track. As we look at the weather, you all saw that rain to start off. It's a wet to dry race. These are my least favorite kinds. At least the dry to wet races, they're kind of easier to predict, I guess. I always feel so slow, especially when I first get out there on the dry tires. As we head into practice, car balance was feeling pretty good, to say the least. Of course, Imola is one of the easier tracks, I'd say, in this game. Not as difficult as some other tracks like Baku, for instance, which I believe is 2 races from now. Portimao is up next. That is also way harder as we head on to qualifying here at Imola. This session, very important to start well here. And because, of course, with the rain, no DRS, it's probably going to be pretty hard to pass early on in the race when everyone's real close to each other. So we have to start, getting good lap times. But on our second lap there, coming to the end of qualifying, we dip a tire in the gravel. We are still going to improve, but by how much? Not much. Up to P18, the dash states. Not a very good lap, to say the least. So, looks like we're going to be deep in the field here for this Grand Prix. I believe Guan Yu was P20. Yes, so struggles all around for the team here early on. But now, let's head on to the Grand Prix here in Imola.
Welcome once again to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari. The clue's in the name. This is very much Ferrari home turf, and the locals will be out in force today to support their team in what we hope will be a magnificent spectacle of motorsport. On then to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Unlike most Formula One circuits, Imola is driven anti-clockwise and offers our drivers today just over 3 miles of glistening wet asphalt to negotiate. It's made up of a roughly equal split of 9 right-hand turns and 10 left-hand. Watch the drivers on the way into turn 16. Managing their speed there will be crucial, with the rain only adding to the difficulty of that downhill braking section, which then of course leads into the track's longest straight, though no DRS there today of course. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1, so how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are 3 main things to worry about there, Crofty: positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Perez, Lando Norris and Sainz, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Vettel and Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Russell, The Real Deal and Mick Schumacher, Joe, Latifi, Gasly, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Nikita Mazepin. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Just ignore that. Remember, I screen record on my phone the stream from Twitch. So that AirPod thing, just ignore that. Ignore any notifications that I forget to crop out too. Anyways, you could see the rain falling, but the rain shouldn't be falling for long. So we shouldn't be on the inters for this entire race. Maybe about 3/4 of it, half of it, as we head to the 5 red lights.
It's lights out and away we go!
Ooh, the wheel spin. Bad start. And 3 wide behind, heading down into turn number 1. We're going to dive down the inside. Contact made with Kimi. Side by side now with, I believe that's George, coming out of the corner. We stay in front. We're up in the P15 off the start. 3 spots gained already. And now heading through the chicane. You got to just take it easy here. Everybody into the hairpin, though. Going to stay behind each other. I'm going to lately hop to the inside and get past Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, heading up the hill now towards probably just my least favorite corner on this entire racetrack. I find it hard to hit the apex, and I always abuse track limits at this corner. Heading down towards Acqua Minerale, and then the chicane that I completely forgot the name of. and down towards the final 2 corners on this racetrack, which also have names that I completely forgot. This is Monza. I haven't memorized every name at this racetrack, every corner name. Anyways, coming around to complete the first lap, we run a bit wide, dip a tire into the gravel, and later on lap 4, we're going to go completely off the racetrack and lose spots to Raikkonen and Ocon, and almost George Russell. We stay ahead for the time being. Later on, though, next lap, we get turned around. Russell, I think that was, turns us, and someone slams in the back of us, and Guan Yu is out of the race. That was Antonio Giovinazzi that slammed into the back of us. Zhou Guanyu is out of the race as well. Here's a look at the replay. It's not a full-on replay, I'm sorry. This was after the race. I was going back to get a thumbnail for the video. Anyways, we pit for new front wing here. We are serving our 5-second time penalty from that collision with Gio, which was not very fair since we were wrecking when he hit us. That was more on Antonio than us. Can't really control the car when you're literally dying, but it is what it is. And as we get back to racing on lap number 9, we're behind George Russell, the man who turned us to start this wreck. He's had a lot of incidents leading up to turn number 1 at Imola, or a lot of incidents at Imola. Just to start off, that was almost another. We made a bit of contact. I went a bit wide, so you could consider that an incident in Formula 1. But we get the spot. Anyway, Sebastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly are side by side up in front of us. And we're going to take advantage of this, try to get past Seb heading down to these final corners. Down the inside, what's now the outside and will be the inside entering these corners, we get in front of Seb. Anyways, later on, coming into the pits here on lap number 10 of this Grand Prix. And DRS is enabled. You can see exactly why. We're going on to the soft compound tires here to change over. It is that crossover point. We'll see how we do here. We're deep in the field. We come out behind the Haas of Mick Schumacher. And now we got our hands full because now we have to get past Mick here, who I believe was behind us coming into the pits. So we lost that spot, and he gets away well because we have a bunch of wheel spin coming out of the pit lane here. I believe this is going to be the first lap in dry conditions, just to show you how much the track has changed. You can see the pace just going around here, and also it's a mistake, so I don't have to hide the also there was no mistakes, so I don't have to hide the flashbacks at all. That's mainly why I'm showing this lap, because it was so good. Anyways, you can see it is still slightly raining, but the track is pretty much dry. It's kind of like what happened in the Bristol dirt race, just kind of track's dry, but it's still raining a little bit. Dry enough to race on dry compound tires. We are chasing after Schumacher here, and I believe, yeah, Mazepin's up there as well, so we got to watch out because there's a 85% chance that we end up crashed again, simply because we're in the vicinity of Mazepin. Heading into these final few corners, we got to get a good exit out of here. We're going to have DRS on both Schumacher and Mazepin, and of course we have a better engine because the Haas is the worst car on the grid. And closing in, we're going to go 3 wide again. This is exactly what started the big wreck back on lap number 5, and we get on by both Haas cars with one move right there. And although we go over the curbs and get in the grass there, we stay in front and we don't crash this time. You'll love to see it. We've been involved in 3 separate incidents already since the start of this season. It has been a rough start for us. And of course, Guan Yu was involved in the big one earlier on as we get past Esteban Ocon on track as Tsunoda makes a pit stop. And we're at the halfway point in this race. And I believe we have one more stop left for soft compound tires to go on to that. Since it already rained, we don't have to use 2 separate compounds of tires, as you're now just seeing us cross the line essentially as we try to close in. Latifi and Norris, they come into the pits. We gap them. We're pitting in 2 laps time from now. On lap 22, I believe, is when we come in. At the end of that lap, closing in on Raikkonen. He's 2.5 seconds up the road. Not sure we're going to be able to catch him. Lando Norris closing in. He just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix a little while ago, so he is looking pretty fast. He is only 1.8 seconds back. He closed in 4/10 on that straightaway alone. He's right on our gearbox now at the end of the very next lap, but we pit. So we won't have to deal with Norris or Sainz most likely for the rest of this race, because they're going to overcut us quite easily here. We pit, we get new fresh soft compound tires, and we are back out. Now some people went for a 2-stop strategy because they pit 1 lap too early. So Norris and Sainz have to pit again, although they already pitted for soft tires. So they're on the soft tires 3 times before the end of this race, plus the inters once. So they're technically on a 4-stint 3-stop race here. We're also on a 3-stop race, but of course the 1-stop was because of the accident. So in theory, we're on a 2-stop race here if our strategy went according to plan. And on lap 25, 26 now, we're coming to 27. We're just trying to close in on Raikkonen, who's 4.5 seconds up the road. You're going to see Norris up ahead come out of the pits. He's ahead of us, and of course he's in the McLaren. He is so much faster than us. We will not be anywhere near him, as we're just trying to close in on Kimi, abusing the track limits. Thank God this isn't strict corner cutting rules, or I would have 58 seconds of time penalties coming my way. We miss Aqua Minerale. Terrible right there. I mean, that was terrible. And with 2 laps to go, coming to the white flag, we have caught Kimi Räikkönen. Can we get past the old man of the grid, as Martin Brundle always calls him? The flying Finn. Here we go. Trying to get past Kimi after, we don't speak about last race. But the incident that happened there, heading down to turn 1, the DRS open. We're using overtake, but we don't have any battery left. We get the move done. We go a bit wide. We stay in front of Kimi Räikkönen, though. How about that, beating the oldest driver on the F1 grid? And we run wide. Räikkönen comes up the inside. We run into him. We damage our front wing, but with no corners left, it's all good. And we end up getting Räikkönen at the line for P10 for our first point in Formula 1. And from P18 on the grid to P10, that makes us driver of the day here in Imola.
They take the checkered flag then here in Imola in what has been another outstanding Grand Prix. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
Wow. Couldn't make it up. What a race. Huge wreck, yet our best result. And a great race. Ooh, what's that livery there on tier 15? I might have to save up for the deluxe podium pass now. But anyways, that was a great race to say the least. I mean, it started off terribly, don't get me wrong. Guan Yu was out, so in that aspect it was terrible. But good finish for us in the end. We did pretty well. And yeah, FireLynx Jaguar F1 team has a point this year. Could be our only point. You never know. Hopefully it won't be, but we'll see. I mean, this car has pace. And if we keep upgrading it, we could be up with the front runners as soon as the end of the season. Who knows? And this moves us up to 8th in the constructor standings, which I believe is our season goal to finish there. So we'll see what happens. Here's an interview from Claire.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret? How do you feel the weather affected the outcome today?
You scraped the walls a few times. Were you struggling for grip?
Appreciate your time.
Just like that, we got our weekend bonus completed with 2 answered interview questions. We answered 3 there, I believe. Anyways, thank you all for watching, as this is the point in the video where I start to wrap things up. Enjoy these highlights of the start of the race, and, yeah. Some great things happening. I believe I might be doing the NASMAR Community Cup Series All-Star Race, for stop motion. I got in Assetto Corsa, so that's exciting. Darian Gilliam, thank you for watching my video. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.